guys, Troy here, Cailtin Conversations. Thanks for joining us. I've got Cailtin Small from Project Adventure today.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This is a good one. We talked about this a little bit before. I thought I did Project Adventure when I was a kid in the 90s in northern Michigan growing up, but it turns out we're going to learn something today, that it was not necessarily Project Adventure because there is such a great local story here, but it was something from that, I think.
Related, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we got it out there for you.
We unpacked a lot already today. All right, I'm gonna have you take it back a little bit, and I think it's kind of two parts, right? Because there's your story, because you came into this already existing entity, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us how you got started and how you got roped into this, if you will, because that's a great little pun. And then, and then also tell us about like Project Adventure's beginning.
Sure.
Because it's like wildly a while ago.
Yes. Yeah. So we were founded in 1971. I'm going to start with Project Adventure itself, and then kind of weave myself into the story. So we were founded in 1971 at Hamilton-Wenham High School. So a lot of folks don't realize that we are that local. We really are part of the North Shore community. Our founders were teachers and a high school principal who worked at Hamilton-Wenham High during the school year, and during the summers, they all led outward bound expeditions. They really got into this idea of all the things that you learn through an outward bound experience when you're, canoeing for a month with a team, right? You have to learn to solve problems together. You have to trust each other, or you're not going to make it, right? You have to learn to be comfortable with some discomfort, and you learn a lot about yourself along that way. And these educators were thinking, how can we bring this to more people? Because Outward Bound really is sort of an elite experience. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time to be able to do these expeditions. How could we bring this into schools and make it something that every kid could experience? And what would that do for a school community if a school community could have that kind of bonding, transformative experience together?
And this was in the 70s.
In the 70s,
The 70s were so cool, man. I hear
Man,
great things.
A little lawless, it seems.
Just do whatever you want. Jump off a telephone pole.
All the old pictures, they're wearing very short shorts, everybody. So that's how it started at the high school. And they originally did things like snowshoeing and rock climbing in the area around here. They went to Red Rocks in Gloucester quite a bit. And eventually, over time, built the first ropes course and innovated ropes courses as something for a sort of place-based local adventure. And it worked so well at Hamilton-Wenham that other districts started wanting it. So those teachers broke off, formed a nonprofit, and started bringing both the curriculum, the activity ideas and training for teachers, and then building ropes courses for other people to be able to replicate that. And that became national. That got really, really big, especially in the 80s and 90s. And that's where those who grew up when I grew up and, were in middle school and high school in the 90s, know Project Adventure, usually through phys ed. There was a curriculum that was extremely popular in gym class. Whether a school had a ropes course or not, doing team building and icebreaker type games and problem solving, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they would drill the little handholds into the gym wall.
Exactly, yes.
And you'd get up there on the platform.
Little platform.
And you'd be shivering in front of all of your friends.
Absolutely.
Jump for that bar, man. And if you got it, you were the coolest kid. And then it was like you would climb up the rope, like straight up the rope.
Sure.
Right?
Gym class, yeah.
And if at that age, I weighed 67 pounds. And I could just do it all hands. I didn't even need the legs.
One of those. I couldn't get off the ground. Yeah.
Oh, loved it. Thank God they did it.
Well, funnily enough, I had Project Adventure in my middle school when I was growing up. We had an indoor climbing wall, and I was terrified of heights, and I didn't have a great experience. I froze on the ladder, and the teacher who was running the class got really impatient with me, and I felt awful. Now, I say this because it's sort of a cautionary tale, right? It's the point of what Project Adventure does is not the ropes course. And in fact, often what we do has nothing to do with, we do tons of stuff not anywhere near a ropes course. The point is how you facilitate a group through doing something really challenging together, something that sort of pushes people into that vulnerable space, pushes you up against your limits, when a facilitator is really good at guiding a group, I mean, middle schoolers can be cruel, right? So if you're thinking about bringing a group of middle schoolers to a place where they feel incredibly vulnerable together, you better know how to craft that experience in a way that makes it positive.
Yeah.
And when you do craft that in that way, it's an incredible experience. And kids who normally don't speak up become leaders in a group, and kids end up cheering each other on across these social divides where they would normally never, sort of expose their true feelings to each other, and amazing things happen.
So how did you get roped into doing this?
I like that pun, by the way. I'm gonna use that more.
I'm roped in everything.
Yeah. So in my career, I worked in education, but usually in community-based programs, family education, mentoring, that sort of thing. Shortly before I came to Project Adventure, I worked at McLean Hospital out in Belmont. We had a program working with schools on how to make schools a better, more supportive place for youth mental health. So schools can be wonderfully supportive sometimes, and other times the demands that are put on educators to meet certain curriculum standards and hours and minutes of instruction and all this kind of stuff just makes it so that it's a place that's not really fostering good mental health for young people. Not to mention, then we have this massive youth mental health crisis going on where students are bringing so many challenges and issues into the building, and educators aren't trained in how to deal with them. That's not part of, I have a master's in education. That's not part of what you learn when you're becoming trained to be a teacher. So anyway, that's what I was doing. I was a trainer and consultant working with schools to help educators and principals figure out how to make their schools a healthier place for youth development. I loved that job. It was wonderful. But I then met my husband and moved to the North Shore. And commuting from the North Shore to Belmont every day was...
It's almost an impossible place to get to in Massachusetts. You might as well just
wherever you're coming
go
from.
To Springfield.
Yeah.
Like you need a helicopter there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like Alston. Like I don't think I've ever been to Alston because it's like, why? How would I get there, people?
I lived in Alston. It's a place. But anyway, so I couldn't do the commute anymore, and I started looking for something. And Project Adventure at the time was hiring for a director of social emotional learning, which is basically what I was doing in Boston. So I went for it, and I at the time I thought of Project Adventure as the ropes course people, right? Like that's how a lot of people know us still, and that was my sort of limited, narrow view of what it was, and I learned a whole lot about sort of the depth of what PA does in a whole different way. And then in 2020, it was in 2019, in 2020 we hit the pandemic. We were in crisis, as just about everybody was. And they needed a change in leadership and asked me to become the executive director. So I took the helm at a moment when, it was sink or swim.
That old executive director owes you big time. It was like, here's the keys. It wasn't even like a Corvette. It was just like, hey, this is a Pinto.
It was a tough moment. It was not an easy job, and the organization has a huge legacy, but also had a lot of growing pains at the time. So
if I take a little sidestep here, just trying, because I think people can picture Project Adventure. A lot of people that are listening to this can at least picture Project Adventure. And the thing that's running through my mind is like, there's not a single person against Project Adventure, number one. Like everybody is like, yeah, more. Mm-hmm. Like how do we do it every day with some of my kids, especially my boys? Mm-hmm. And it's like what's the answer? Like how do we do it more? Like actually, maybe a better question is how much does it cost? Like how does it work? How do kids get to do it? I think my kids get to do it in Manchester, Essex, middle high school once. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do it in gym class too, but maybe they get to do it like once in 7th grade as a group.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Right, not enough, no. So there's a few different ways that we work with schools and kids, especially in this area. One is in Beverly, we have a 3-acre ropes course in the woods there, and groups come to us. So that's a lot of the once, maybe twice a year where students will come to us. Student groups, sometimes it's just once in their entire K-12 experience, right? But it's an amazing experience, but it's just one day. we also work with schools like Manchester Essex and build ropes courses for them and then train usually their phys ed and health teachers in how to use those ropes courses. So those are great ways that we can bring this experience into our communities. But I think the way to get it more integrated into kids' lives is to think beyond the ropes course. Because the ropes course is a tool, and it's a very powerful tool. It's an amazing tool, but it's just a tool. It's not the thing itself. The thing itself is using this idea or this feeling, this experience of adventure to help kids learn how to solve problems, connect with the people around them across differences, become a team, communicate with each other, learn things about themselves, figure out how to come up against hard, scary moments, which might be 40 feet in the air and might be that you're being asked to share something personal with the person next to you, or dealing with a conflict.
So do we need our teachers to do it? Do we need like a staff member at the schools to do it? Like how? Like if I was a parent and I was like, I want my kid to do more project adventure type stuff. Mm-hmm. Do we get like the school board to be like, let's add this to the curriculum? Like how would we do it?
That's one really great way. Yeah. We do teacher training, and we have all kinds of curriculum and tools that can be used within any classroom from K to 12 at any age. And it's an investment by a school or school district to bring us in to do that. It's not of the magnitude of, a new computer for every kid in the district. It's nothing like that. But it is time, which school is sometimes the scarcest resource in a district. But there's ways to bring in the methodology and the ethos of interpersonal, adventurous, fun, challenging learning into a classroom without a ropes course even being part of the picture.
Okay, yeah, because I'm going to meander a little bit.
Great.
Because this is interesting. But I'm thinking ropes course so much with Project Adventure, and you're going to correct me and probably everybody a little bit here, because it's not just ropes course. It's not just the gym, like, ropes course equivalent. So is it in classroom? Is it like just taking the kids out of the classroom with more stuff? Like tell me how that part of this would work.
So let's boil it down to the concept of adventure.
I think Miss Frizzle when I think adventure.
Man, wouldn't that be awesome?
So cool.
If we could start selling magic school buses, I'd be all over it.
The 70s would have invented it.
Yeah, they would have.
But they invented this.
Yeah. So let's bring it back to that idea of adventure. Like, if you think of any adventure that you've had, whether it's traveling abroad or going camping or being on a ropes course, some of those common elements across any of those adventures are things like you're taken out of your comfort zone. Right? It's not a comfortable experience usually. You encounter some spontaneous and unexpected problems that you have to figure out how to solve. Typically, the people around you have to work together to figure out how to solve those problems together. And usually there's some experience of doing something that you didn't think you'd be able to do before. Especially that's one of the most powerful moments on the ropes course is people thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to get up there. And then they do. Right.
And then everybody's jazzed for them.
And everybody's so excited for them, yeah. And so if we can take those elements off of the 40-foot high zip line, which looks very exciting and is, don't get me wrong, but we can take those elements and recreate them in a typical classroom. And we do it all the time with Project Adventure. Sometimes we do it we run mental health support groups. We take a group of students who are struggling with social skills, for instance, and connecting with their peers. They might have a social emotional disability or anxiety or something along those lines. We're putting in front of them some experience that replicates all of those elements. It puts them outside of their comfort zone. There's new and unexpected problems that they can't anticipate. They have to depend on each other in order to solve those problems. So we're replicating the adventure experience, and it can be emotionally, it can be interpersonally, but it pushes you towards growing in ways that you didn't realize that you could grow before. And you see this stuff come out of kids that you never would expect,
So do you have like almost like a curriculum that you would bring to a school?
Yes.
Like you're like, okay, we're going to do a science-based learning activity that's going to unpack all of these same key features. We'll teach you this curriculum. You guys go execute this curriculum annually with your 7th grade.
Sort of, yes. I wouldn't say that we have a science-specific curriculum. We do have, a lot of schools have advisory. Do you know what advisory is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those who don't, who maybe don't have a kid in the schools right now, it's a new structure that most schools have where they meet in small groups with one adult throughout the entire school year. And they might use that time to talk about their career goals or to reflect on their school progress or something like that. But we have a curriculum that you could use in that space. That is activities structured in such a way that it brings a group from being, they're not really friends, they're not really connected, all the way through the school year to doing really interesting, challenging things together, building those social and emotional skills together. So we have a curriculum that can be used in a space like that. But then we have teacher training, which is how do you bring this ethos, this idea into the classroom and integrate it into your curriculum? So what are different ways to create group work in the classroom that's replicating this experience? How do you kick off your school year in a way that can help to replicate this experience? So there's sort of the methodology, and then we do have hundreds of activities and curriculum books that we can bring to schools as well.
They're basically ideas.
Yeah.
They should make it like an extracurricular, like a sport.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, like I played hockey growing up. I don't know how much my parents spent on hockey. Infinite dollars that they couldn't afford, right? But needless to say, it's like, I don't know, some kids aren't into sports, or even if you're into sports, you could, you don't necessarily have to play every season. Why couldn't you just do like a project adventure, like winter season sport? That'd be so cool. After school, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
Would love that.
Everybody throws in their dough that they have to, less than it costs to play hockey.
Yeah. At Essex Tech, actually, we have an after-school club. So one of our models is that our staff goes into the school and actually facilitates things. So we can train teachers to do what we do, but we have a really robust staff of extremely talented facilitators that we can send to schools and they can run things. So we run an after-school club at Essex Tech.
Can you tell me how much it costs to hire a teacher for after school? Or is that that's probably breaking protocol?
That probably, yeah. I think my director of operations would get mad at me if I did that.
Is it like the same amount of money as we pay like a high school football coach?
Oh, much less.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so everyone
I'm not
could
saying
do
that
this.
high school football coaches are overpaid, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
No teacher is ever overpaid.
Never. My gosh. No, I mean, it's,
That's crazy.
So
we could, if somebody wanted to do it, if somebody was passionate, so we could just hire you. You would staff somebody.
Yeah, I mean, not me specifically. I'm a little busy, but yeah.
Yeah, not you exactly.
I got the people who could, and they're amazing. Our facilitators are truly incredible at what they do. Yeah, we're around.
I'm taking on a new mission now. Shoot. Watch out, school board in Manchester, Essex. I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
That's actually exciting. That's kind of the stuff that we want to understand here is how people, because like I said earlier, everybody believes in Project Adventure. That's not the battle that you're battling right now. Everybody is probably, though, looking at it and going like, how do I even engage with these guys, right? Like, what would we do? So if I put you on this platform here to talk about that, like, what would you tell people? Like, what should people do? What do you guys need? You're this not-for-profit. You've got this stuff. I don't want to put the idea that you have bandwidth in your vocabulary because that might not be true, but like, let's say you did. Like, here, tell everybody, like, what should they do?
What should you do?
Like, to get in touch with you, to work you, to get their kids exposure to it.
Yeah. One of the unique things about our model is we don't work with individuals. We work with other organizations or schools, right? So,
do you ever work with adults?
Yes. Absolutely, which is like probably a whole other podcast episode. But yeah, we can. So,
sorry, I took you on a tangent.
No, I love it. Any activity that a 10-year-old would do, it turns out you can bring into a corporate boardroom, and it actually works. And they might feel really uncomfortable doing it, but the way that a group solves a problem is a way that a group solves a problem. Whether that problem is how do we meet quota for this quarter, or that problem is, stack all of these nails on a spire and make them all balance, right? Like whatever the problem is, it could involve a rubber chicken, which is like one of our common tools. But that the way that a group solves a problem, they will do it in the boardroom or for a rubber chicken activity. And our facilitators can observe them trying to solve that problem and help them figure out better ways to work together, right? So we can do corporate team building as well. And organizational
I never
development.
watched the show The Office.
Yeah.
But I can just imagine a whole episode of The Office. I understand the premise of them doing Project Adventure and it being just a total disaster.
I actually love that. I love that idea. If they ever bring it back, we'll pitch it.
We'll do like a one episode, like Steve Carell come back to do it with you.
To do a Project Adventure on the climbing wall. I love it.
Exactly. Just like spilling chili or whatever.
I think that, so to go back to your original question, how can folks in the community support this? I think it really is about the idea that we need to support young people's experience in the classroom and outside of the classroom with different kinds of resources. But those resources exist in our communities. It's not like we're talking about it's not such a reach, right? There's organizations like Project Adventures, there are others in this region too, who have opportunities, resources, and tools available. And there very rarely is room in a school budget or school time to tap into those resources, right? So folks like PA, we're sitting here, for instance, there's this youth mental health crisis going on, right? There's the level of need in youth mental health is so far beyond the clinicians that exist, not just in our community, but like nationwide, right? It's never going to be met by a one-on-one counseling model. One thing PA has done to try to address that issue is start running therapeutic support groups. Our staff can partner with a school counselor or somebody similar. We run the group using our activities, using that idea of adventure in a way that helps them to meet their therapeutic goals. They're starting to come out of their shell a bit and learn to deal with their anxiety in new ways and learn to connect with peers and deal with frustration, all these kinds of things. We can work with 8 or 10 kids in an hour rather than just one student in an hour, which is often the traditional counseling model. We're trying to break into, not break into, because we've sort of always been in the education field, but we have these resources that are just sort of sitting here and ready to be used, right? So advocating for local schools, especially, to invest what is a relatively small amount, but a little bit outside of the traditional norm, to think creatively and bring in these kinds of resources, because I think that they create a different kind of experience for our young people. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
It totally makes sense. I think we're just going to get a lot of the same excuses that we always get. It's just like, oh, we don't have the school budget.
We don't have the money. Yeah.
We don't have the time. Like they do it, but at like the smallest level. But are you reliant on the school to pay you as a not-for-profit, or are there like grants that they can write, or?
Both. Sometimes it comes out of the school budget. Sometimes we write a grant together, and sometimes we'll get a grant and approach communities and say, hey, we have this resource available.
Like
school budgets are stressed right now. That's
totally.
a reality. I
and
can't
the
argue
teachers
that.
are still underpaid,
Absolutely.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just going to get worse. You
It's
could
tough.
start with it. I like this idea of this after school, like extracurricular, because you could probably kids can opt into it. My daughter does DECA, okay? Mm-hmm. I did DECA in Michigan when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I loved it. I forced her to do it, and now I think she loves it. I think she loves it like without just faking, telling her dad that
It's a
she
cool
loves it.
program.
But like, I think in the Manchester Essex High School, there's like 140 kids in it. And I don't think it's always been like that. I think Alston's over there has done a great job sort of continuing to build it up, and the kids have had some really good success, like going to nationals in like Florida and California. And so I think you just kind of have to like get your wedge in, and you just got to figure out where's your wedge. Is it, doing the one-time K through 12, sure. Is it then maybe an extra curricular that somebody has to bite the bullet and take the lead on?
Yeah.
because they really believe in it. And then who knows, it could be a 140 student DECA program
Right.
over time.
What we need in each community is a champion, someone who really sees the value of this and wants to bring us in. Because we can't march ourselves into somebody's school and just start running an after-school program.
Exactly.
Right? But we're here, we're ready, and we have some resources to share. And so there are examples of this, right? In Gloucester, at Gloucester High School, we've been running a student support group for a number of years, really since 2020. We work with Amy Kam, who's the head of student support, and Katie Knudsen, who's the lead, I believe, counselor at the high school. And because they believe in us, know us, we have a relationship with them, they advocate for bringing in our services each year. And then we can get off and running, right? But we need somebody who wants to partner with us, who wants to bring us in. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure out, the funding together. We figure out the model together. There's so many options that it can feel a little bit overwhelming. But if there's somebody out there, right, I'll speak to the community, who really sees that this could be a valuable resource for whatever you're doing with young people, reach out to us, because we will customize how we engage with you, how we work with you, and we will get this resource to your students. We just need that champion.
Maybe you guys need to bring in a group of potential champions to PA. And you mentioned just counselors or whatever in Gloucester as an example. The counselors all know each other in the community. It's just too small of a community to not. But if the Gloucester counselors could come and they could bring the Beverly counselors and the Ipswich counselors and the Manchester Essex counselors and the Rockport counselors, and they all kind of came and did PA together, but with a little twist of guys, I need you to do this in your schools. Excuse me. More like Gloucester, and I hate that. I hate using that terminology like that, but Gloucester can tell their story about the successes of their having in the program. I know it's a little bit of an investment from your guys' perspective, but it probably breaks down the barriers, gets them out of the school a little bit, and it starts to plant the seed of how would we go about this, because we use this one little success as this wedge to go do it. I don't know, maybe you can do that. I'll come if you want me to.
Yeah. Come on by.
Andrew will come to do it.
Everyone is busy.
Yeah.
I don't, it's finding time I think time is our most stressed resource in education and youth work right now. So that is the hardest part. But yeah, we're open to it. We love having conversations to spitball ideas with people and get off and running.
I have one other question, because I like to ask this of people in your position, because it's hard to run a not-for-profit. I mean, you're essentially asking all the time for everybody to make sacrifices around you and to do a great job. Those are two things that don't work hand in hand sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So you have people that work for you. Are there needs for that? If somebody's sitting here going man, you know what? I hate this desk job and I want to be Project Adventure, the future executive director of Project Adventure. Who do you need?
We need a director of finance and administration.
Oh man.
We're hiring.
Sweet.
This very moment.
Can they have a day job? That one?
That is the day job. Yeah.
That's their whole. They could be a whole full-time finance person.
Yeah. We've got a big finance operation. We've got a massive budget, so we need somebody to really run that department. So if anyone out there works in finance and is looking for a really purpose-driven job, let me know.
6'5".
It's a cool team.
What else?
What else?
What about adventurers? If somebody wants to be an adventurer, is there an adventurer out there? Do you have to have a degree in sociology, psychology? Nothing?
Nope, you don't. The main thing, if you want to work on the ropes course, is you need ropes course skills. The good thing is that we run trainings for that. So if that's something someone's interested in getting involved with, go to our website, pa.org, and look for our workshops information, because we run public workshops all the time that are open to the public to learn how to work on ropes courses. If you're an educator or a teacher or facilitator and you're looking, we're also looking for support in our mental health programs. So folks who have, and you don't need to have a social work degree. But experience with youth is important.
Are most of these jobs full-time jobs, or are you looking for volunteer part-time stuff
we
too?
can look for we can do part-time stuff for sure. Yeah, we don't do a lot of volunteer work on the ropes course, but there's other ways to get involved. The director of finance is a full-time job, so if anyone's looking for their next career path, reach out.
We'll find it.
Yeah.
Well, God, I thank you for coming on here.
Absolutely.
I really do think you're making a difference. I just think kids need to be doing less. I'm gonna sound like a caveman right now. I think kids need to be doing a little less school and having just a little more fun. School turned into not being fun at some point.
Fun is so important, and it actually is how we learn a lot. And
Like, you're gonna work your whole life. I get that you need to work and you need to do all those things. I'm not that much of a caveman, but like, God, there was so much fun to be had when you're little.
And it's part of how we deal with stress, right? When you talk about the youth mental health crisis, kids are stressed out because they're not having enough fun. Like, the laughter is what the best medicine or whatever they say, but it's really true, and we do bring a lot of that to the table.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, thanks. I could talk about my work all day long, so I appreciate the chat.
Good. Well, maybe we'll have you back. We'll work on this finance lady. We'll see what we can do.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.